Is the Pirelli National Superstock 1000s. Boys are out on the grid already, so let's get straight over to our commentary team for this one. James Hayden and first of all Jack Burnicle. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Matt. Here we are, back at Oulton Park. Isn't it marvellous? What a setting. It's got a little cooler and cloudier just in the last hour, and there's a brisk breeze blowing across the Cheshire countryside. But the place is packed with expectant race fans. And the first people out in front of them are indeed the boys of the Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship. A championship that opened with the complete domination at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit of Danny Buchan. And Danny Buchan has carried that on, but look what happened also there on the 21st of April. This bit of fisticuffs between a furious Robin Harms, the dashing Dane in the red helmet there, and young Jess Traylor. And Robin was sent packing by the marshals. Jess, however, took offence and landed a pretty impressive pair of right hooks before the marshals, bless them, who aren't usually expected to get involved as match referees, finally managed to haul him off. Jess Traylor has got 6 penalty points, starts from the back of the grid today, and to my deep dismay, the wonderful explosive Robin Harms has 12 points on his licence, has been banned from this meeting, but I'm sincerely hoping we'll be back in action at Snetterton. So the standings after the first of 12 races: Danny Buchan, after that runaway victory impressively at Brands Hatch, leads from Jason O'Halloran and Josh Elliott. Philip Backlund, the Swede, was in 4th place ahead of Adam Jenkinson on the Steve Brogan Racing Kawasaki. Then Lee Jackson, Builder-based BMW. Connor Cummins in 7th place. American Danny Eslick is in 8th place ahead of the reigning champion Hudson Kenner and Australian David Johnson on 6 points. Victor Cox on the second of the Brogan bikes on 5 points ahead of Josh Day, Dan Johnson, Luke Quigley and Geordie boy Joe Burns. The starting grid looks rather like this. Danny Buchan, dominant once again on his Kawasaki, is on pole position. Jason O'Halloran managed to squeeze in a late fast lap to go second ahead of number 20 David Johnson on the PR Racing Kawasaki. Second row of the grid headed by the CCTV SPR Racing Kawasaki of Adam Jenkinson, ahead of a newcomer on the grid, Motor Breakers Kawasaki's Carl Harris, former Super Sport champion, and then Jimmy Storer from Scotland. The third row has Victor Cox alongside Joshie Elliott and the little Irishman Lee Johnston, and the fourth row has the equally small Lincolnshire boy Lee Jackson alongside former champion Glenn Richards and Joe Burns. Carl Harris making his return to the grid here at Oulton Park. He's enjoyed success here before. Can he enjoy it again? He's qualified on the second row of the grid. 15 laps ahead of them here around the 2.7-mile Cheshire Circuit as they bomb literally into the first turn round Old Hall Corner. We've got a packed grid of Superstock 1000 contenders pouring down the avenue here into Cascades, and Danny Buchan will be keen once again to stamp his authority on this race. The Essex man, all 6'3" of him, super confident before the season ever began that he was going to come here, win this championship and move back into Superbikes next year. And look at that start he's made. That's exactly pretty much as they were lined up on the grid, except for Jimmy Storer being poked back to 9th place.
Yeah, Danny Buchan there. Actually, I mean, Jason O'Halloran got the better drive to the first corner, but Danny Buchan let the brakes off, just swept round the outside. And remember, Danny Buchan, the man leading this race, he was 0.6 of a second quicker than anybody, which is some going in this class. He is on fire at the moment.
So Danny Buchan leads the way as they drop down to the Hizzy chicane. Flicks it right, flicks it left, and then right-hander through Knickerbrook to storm up Clay Hill. Oh, wowee! And a move or two being pulled in the pack there as they go through Knickerbrook.
Yeah, I think I was going to say there must be someone down because everyone was doing something a bit funny coming out of there. So a bit of a coming together. It can happen. It's a packed grid on this. Absolutely. You know, we've got 40 bikes out there, so it is a big grid. But it's Danny Buchan. And it's the Ducati. It's one of the Ducatis, one of the build-based Ducati.
So we're on the first lap of 15 at the moment. The safety car is already out as they plunge through Deer Leap and up towards the start and finish straight with Danny Buchan in supreme command. Luke Quigley is one of the riders down. Luke Quigley, a former runner-up in this championship, is...
Yeah, we knew it was one of the Ducatis, so that was Luke Quigley. And Josh Day as well. So it's just Day. Now, we're just going to have a little look at it. So that is Luke Quigley. He's up on his feet. So
that looks painful.
So let's have a little look. Oh, so
he got collected. Quigley got collected.
Josh Day loses the front, and yeah, and the pack does blimey, the pack does exceptionally well not to miss him. That is scary.
That looks like a wrist injury for Quigley. It certainly landed really heavily. When you get punted off like that, James, with no warning, then that's when injuries occur, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, it's the first lap. The tyres aren't completely up to temperature. Day has lost the front. It's just taken Quigley out. There's, you know, it's an unfortunate racing incident, but it is just that. We have the safety car out at the moment. That's going to be, you know, Danny Buchaney had just already got a 1.6 second lead on that first lap. So, you know, he'll be the loser in this. Behind him is O'Halloran, Johnson, Jenkinson, Harris, and Cox, who are top 6. Now, more importantly, they have to stay behind the safety car until it comes off. We'll be warned of that when it turns its lights off. It will be saying it'll be coming in that lap. It's not this lap. And then the race will go again, and no one will be able to overtake till the start-finish straight. So that's what's going on here. So the main thing is you want to stay close up to the man in front. You don't want to let any gaps emerge. That's the main thing. So they're going to do one more lap behind the safety car, and this is why you can see the marshals hard at work there, sweeping it all up.
Incidentally, the reigning champion Hudson Kenner on the Lynxel Trick Motor Racing BMW qualified back in 14th place on the 5th row of the grid.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to say, obviously, Hudson Kenner, you know, he won the championship last year on the Kawasaki. He's moved to the BMW and still struggling. I had a good chat with him yesterday. Still struggling just to get that bike quite how he wants at the moment. There's obviously a lot of electronics on it, and you know, they're still struggling to get it quite the way he wants. But he assures me that this will probably look. The lights are off, by the way. So with this lap, the car is going to come in, and we will restart the race when they get to the start-finish line. So they've got some time now. Now, Danny Buchan, the leader, he can do what he wants now. What I mean by that, he can let that gap build up, you know, behind the safety car. He can choose when he wants to go, and the advantage of that is actually you can sort of get the pack to concertina up, if you like, and then suddenly go. And you know, because you want to, the tyres will have lost a lot of temperature, and this is something, even though they're following this Nissan GTR, which is a brilliant car, but you know, these bikes here, they are literally crawling around at the moment. And look at the traffic back there.
Yeah, that is
proper jam.
Look how much time you've lost by the time you come through Britain.
But this is the crazy thing. So you don't want any gaps. You've got to be right by the man in front. You don't want to leave any of these gaps, and that means that they're like already 8 seconds behind the leader. It's crazy.
Danny Buchan celebrated his 21st birthday just 1 week ago, so obviously looking to add to his whatever birthday presents he may have received. He works at the moment, of course, as a motorcycle salesman at Colchester Kawasaki. Buchan, originally from Basildon in Essex. There is Luke Quigley, thankfully looking, well, a little uncomfortable, but at least in reasonably one piece. So let's hope Luke isn't too badly damaged after getting swept off his bike at that early stage. Danny Buchan already getting rid of a tear off. I don't know whether that's because of exhaust fumes from the Nissan.
Yeah, well, the main thing is what he's done, he's given himself a bit of breathing space. The car comes in and the race goes live when it goes to start-finish line. No one can overtake till then.
So Danny Buchan holds the lead at the moment, and a change straight away as David Johnson plunders second place from Honda Racing's Jason O'Halloran. 2 Australians locked together there in a battle for second place, and Johnson, who has been a race winner in the past, of course, in the Superstock 1000 Championship, moves through into second place on that distinctive blue PR Racing Kawasaki. But straight away O'Halloran tries to respond through Island Bend.
Yeah, and behind them in full spot is Adam Jenkinson, riding for Steve Brogan's team, the direct CCTV SBR team, and then behind him Carl Harris. What a job he has done. Carl hasn't ridden for ages. He's come in at the 11th hour, and there he is, number 61, Carl the Bomber Harris, and he's doing a great job at the moment in this really competitive class.
So Harrison, number 61, running just ahead of number 28, Victor Cox at the front. Danny Buchan leads the way. Oh, but steady on. David Johnson losing the back end of the Kawasaki.
Someone else has gone straight on. They've got to go through this. Is a big time penalty, and that is...
It's Josh Elliott.
It is.
It's the young Ulsterman, Jossie Elliott, leaps back into contention but he's cost himself a bit of time there on the GA Homer Racing Alzheimer's Society Socialite Kawasaki.
Yeah, he has, and you can see Danny Buchan with that little mistake that David Johnson made there. It's just cost him some time, and Danny Buchan has just been in such strong form all weekend. He dominated Brands Hatch. He's come here, and at the moment, you know, he definitely looks like he's going to be the man to beat.
David Johnson running there in second place, bike number 20, that distinctive light blue Kawasaki. He has won twice before in the National Superstock 1000 Championship, and once was here back in 2012 when he finished 8th overall in the series.
Yeah, and Danny Buchan has just smashed the lap record. The lap record was a 138.1. Danny Buchan's just done a 137.6, so half a second he's just taken off there on his first flying lap of the lap record that used to belong to John Kirkham. So he's the only man in the 37s.
And that lap record has stood since 2010 when Kirkham and BMW dominated the series. So over Danny Buchan, well, this is a battle for second place, rather, as we had at Brands Hatch. Buchan looks like he's going to clear off, and this is what's going on behind him with Johnson, O'Halloran, Jenkinson, Harris, Cox, top 6. Behind them, Glenn Richards, Johnston and Johnson. That's Lee Johnston and Danny Johnson, with Jimmy Storer running in 10th place. And the Scotsman, Jimmy Storer, of course, will be trying to get himself back into kind of short-circuit frame of mind after he's absolutely fabulous 5th place in the famous Boldore 24-hour World Endurance Race in his debut in that class last weekend.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's a brilliant job he did there. Good point, Jack.
And that's Danny Buchan leading the way down. Oh, look at that. He was been watching Marc Marquez yesterday, backing his way into Lodge Corner, plunging down Deer Leap. David Johnson still running strongly ahead of O'Halloran. O'Halloran's got Adam Jenkinson, number 11, right on his back wheel. Jenkinson on the direct CCTV SPR Racing Kawasaki. There he is, number 11, very much the local man here.
Yeah, sorry, Danny Buchan has just smashed the lap record again. He's taken another half second on it. Look at that. 137.1. Remember, the lap record was a 138.1, so he's taken a second off it. The only other man, Johnson, in second spot there, he just managed number 20. He did a 137.9, so he's just in the 37s as well under the lap record, but no one else is in 37. So Danny Buchan is just like unbelievable at the moment.
Jenkinson looking very, very eager to find a way past that red, white and blue Honda of Jason O'Halloran. O'Halloran, who was at the Boldore a week ago, but as reserve rider for the Honda World Endurance team. And that meant that he just got out in the qualifying sessions, but I have to say, impressively, he was the fastest in the nighttime session of his group of riders. There he is, number 122, Jason O'Halloran.
Yeah, and in that next little pack now, it was Harris, but Harris has been overtaken by Cox, and so there's that little gang, because it's just into 2 little splits. You've got Buchan out in front, then you've got,
and
we got there, that's
number 18,
Simpkin.
Jordan Simpkin on the ice racing, or rather off the ice racing Kawasaki. What a shame, ran really strongly in the 600.
Oh, he got run off.
He got well run off.
That was,
Oh, that was unlucky. And it's like welcome to the big boys then, James, because of course he ran a really excellent second place in the 600 Superstock Championship last year, the lad from Cambridge.
Yeah, he did. Had a little chat with him earlier as well, so you know he's enjoying it, and that was quite unlucky. He got a really harsh move on him, ran him outside and just ran him off the track, and unfortunately he just couldn't keep the bike upright.
It's great to see the former National Superstock champion, the wonderful Liverpool man, Steve Brogan, running so strongly with his new team here, running in 3rd and 5th places with 4th and 5th places with Jenkinson and Victor Cox.
Yeah, you can just see that was Richards, Johnson and Johnson have just all crept past. I think Harris might have a problem because he's just let all these guys through on this lap, and I saw him just put his leg out then to let the last bike through. So that's a bit odd there from Carl Harris. I mean, he was always going to feel it a little bit fitness-wise because he hasn't been racing a lot, but putting his leg out like that just would signal, you know, would normally signal that.
Second, the next flight of 4. Then it's number 75, Glenn Richards, former Supersport and Superstock champion, who's standing in, of course, for John. McGuinness at Paget's Honda.
Yeah, and I think Victor Cox, the man in 5th place, number 28, I think he's just catching these guys. He's the man in the back of your picture there. This 3 has got away for that battle for 2nd and 3rd and 4th, but I think Victor Cox is just bridging that gap as well. So Steve's other rider, teammate to Adam Jenkinson, currently in 4th. He's coming. There's the man we're talking about, just coming in. Then it's Glenn Richards, and then we've got this battle of Johnson, Jackson, Elliott.
Good ride from little Lee Johnston, General Lee Johnston, running number 13. And as we watch O'Halloran cut back inside David Johnson and retaliate with exactly the same move that Johnson put on him 3 or 4 laps ago.
Yeah, that's a
so
nice...
O'Halloran leads, beg your pardon, into 2nd. I'm forgetting Buchan.
Buchan is gone. That is the Buchan there. You can go just on the right-hand side of the picture. He's gone. He's got a 3.3 second lead. Then it's Jason O'Halloran doing a good job on the Honda there. Then we've got David Johnson and Adam Jenkinson in this great battle for 2nd.
Buchan settled down to only a 1/10 of a second beneath the old lap record.
Yeah, he's still circulating, probably just a fraction under half a second quicker than everyone else. So he's in a nice rhythm. Lap 8 of 15. You know, he's just really got that bike working well. And you know, the others are going to do a little bit of head scratching here. Remember, it is a production class, and the bikes are all meant to be pretty similar. So, you know, Danny Buchan is really doing an exceptional job. And Jenkinson, is he having a look up the inside? Couldn't quite manage it, but you could see his intent there, number 11. And look at that, Victor Cox as well. He is coming on these guys. He's took a few tenths out of these guys on the last lap. So Victor Cox in 5th. He's going to join this party shortly.
It's great to see David Johnson, number 20, really back on song in this Superstock Championship Series on the blue PR Racing Kawasaki. He first came over from Australia back in 2002 to race Superstock 600. He'd been runner-up in the Australian Supersport Championship the previous year. So he's been a long-time resident of the UK, Johnson. And he used to be a BMX Australian champ when he was a lad. So he's obviously a lot of skill and a pedigree on 2 wheels.
Yeah, and he's, you know, we've seen him win races, we've seen him put it on pole. He's a fast rider, is David Johnson. But we also see the occasional race where he's just not so much in the hunt. And so it's great to see him out battling where he should be.
And you get the impression that they're shunted right up behind the Honda Fireblade of O'Halloran. There's the Kawasaki in the lead. This is the battle going on with the Honda. And once again, Jenkinson looking underneath as they go towards Island Bend. And that is a fast place to try and pass.
Fast, 120 miles an hour. It's a brilliant corner, a real man's corner. And, you know, a lot of fun. And it's difficult to pass on. You can do it, but you've got to get a good drive out the corner before Cascades. The best place to pass here is still the final corner at Lodge. And look at Victor Cox, he is nearly on these guys.
Cox was half a second quicker than the guys in front of him on the last lap. There is the lonesome leader, dropping down towards the Hizzy chicane. And there's a bunch chasing him. And behind them, of course, Glenn Richards running in 6th place. The part-time Richards, yes, another Australian, of course. We've got 3 Australians in the top 6 right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they're riding well, and they're doing a good job.
As they come howling into Druids, and once again Jenkinson, look, he almost looked for a way round. Now he's going to have a go up the inside. He needs to get late on the brakes into Lodge Corner.
Yeah, he's can't quite do it there. He had too much of a wheelie though, just coming out of Druids a corner before, and he couldn't quite get the drive. Overtaking at Lodge is as much about getting out of Druids well, but this looks like a better opportunity. He's got the inside line. But David Johnson, he's got his bike, he's really confident on the front there and on the brakes. You can see when he hits the brakes, even though Jenkinson could get level with him, he just doesn't seem to be able to carry quite the braking into the turn that David Johnson does. That is the gap, so just a 1/10 of a second between them. And look at Victor Cox coming. He has been coming and coming. He's been doing a good job there to bridge that gap from the guys in 5th and 6th spot to come up onto this leading pack.
On the 10th of 15 laps then, with Danny Buchan 5 seconds down the road. This is the battle for second place. Jason O'Halloran just ahead of David Johnson, Adam Jenkinson and Victor Cox. And Jenkinson doing everything he can to get past Johnson. And you can imagine the frustration boiling up underneath that helmet of the Cheshire-based landscape gardener.
Yeah, also because Jason O'Halloran has been doing a good job there in second spot, number 122 on the Honda. He's just put just a couple of tenths in between him and David Johnson now. So, you know, Jenkinson obviously 2/3 race distance. He's got to be quite careful, but this is where he's got to work hard. This is where he's got to build up, because if he wants to go past David Johnson, he's got to be close to him coming into here, and more importantly, as they come out on the throttle, he's got to try and be a fraction closer coming out there to get the pass coming into Lodge. He's going to have another look, but he's just not strong enough coming out the corner before.
And you can imagine the frustration, because you can see that gap opening up ahead just between Johnson and O'Halloran. There is Buchan out of picture, completing his 10th lap. On to lap 11. This is the quartet battling over 2 rostrum places, with O'Halloran's Honda ahead of the 3 Kawasaki's of Johnson, Jenkinson and Cox.
And that is amazing. Danny Buchan, you know, 10 laps in, and he's 5.4 seconds, so he's half a second a lap quicker than anyone so far in the first 10 laps of this race. You know, that is such a big lead.
Lee Johnston and Daniel Johnson, your friend from Reading, who I thought at first wasn't going to be a part of this series, but he has indeed shown up again on bike number 86, James.
Yeah, well, he just had a big crash at Clearways on the morning warm-up of Brands Hatch. Really bashed himself about, and you know, he's still not back to full fitness. Had a few problems this weekend. Doesn't feel his season's got off to the start he wants to, but obviously this is a lot better coming back through to the top 10 now.
This is developing into a 3-man battle for 3rd place, because Jason O'Halloran has crept away from these 3. So right now, David Johnson on the bright blue PR Racing Kawasaki has the 2 Steve Brogan Racing bikes for company. One of these guys is going to end up in 3rd place, and so far it's Johnson who's fended off the opposition. Glenn Richards has now moved clear in 6th place ahead of Lee Jackson. Lee Jackson has squeezed his way through from about 12th place on the opening lap, and the little wizard from Lincoln is now 7th ahead of Lee Johnston, Dan Johnson, and Philip Backlund has moved into 10th place ahead of Joshie Elliott and the reigning champion Hudson Kenner.
Yeah, and you can see O'Halloran just getting it sideways there. But you just mentioned Lee Jackson there in 7th spot. Worth mentioning, the kid is still only 18 years old, learning his craft. He goes about it the right way. He's got a good head on those young shoulders, and you know, he's a really talented little kid, that kid, and he's certainly one to watch for the future. I'm
just impressed with how much ground he's made, James. He's picked his way through a cluster of really top-class riders there.
No, he has. He's a talent. He is a talent, and he, like I say, he goes about it the right way. Doesn't throw it down the road every week. He just works at it, picks away, and yeah, he's doing a good job, the youngster.
And his fastest lap, incidentally, has been under the lap record, the old lap record, with a 38.083. As we look back, I think that's David Johnson's slingshot line round the Shell Oils hairpin, isn't it? He does it every time.
It is, and Glenn Richards has really broken free of that battle for 7th, and he's just starting to make a small inroad back into these guys. So it's only a couple of tenths, but at the moment, I think it's going to be too much to actually bridge that gap. But Glenn Richards, you can see, suddenly entering the back of the picture and is coming on these guys.
If he had more than a 15-lapper to do this, I reckon the 40-year-old Australian there, number 75, Glenn Richards, he's going to be right in with them.
Yeah, you know, obviously he's won a lot of British Championships, top bloke, top rider, and doing a good job here is Glenn Richards, but he's probably left himself a little bit too much to do. That is the gap. You can see he took 2 tenths out of Victor Cox in 5th on that lap. But he is coming. I think this will be a much quicker lap again, actually, this lap. Because when you start to see him as a rider, and you really start to get that gap and see it come in, it kind of really builds your confidence. And you try and grab a bit more and a bit more.
Danny Johnson's gone past Lee Johnston, little General Lee Johnston from Northern Ireland. There's number 61, Carl Harris, has slid back now to 15th place, for definitely a bit ring rusty and probably just suffering a little bit with his fitness. There ahead of him is the JG Speed Fit bike of Joe Burns, running in 15th place now, with a final championship point for the genial Geordie.
Well, at the moment, we got Danny Buchan, who's just out in front, cruising now, 5.3 seconds from Jason O'Halloran, who we're looking at. Then it's Johnson, then it's Jenkinson, then it's Cox. And that is going to be, can they do anything? They've only got lap 13 of 15. You know, if they're going to try and make a move on O'Halloran or Johnson, they've got to try and start doing it now. And you can see O'Halloran's still got just that bit of breathing space. It's just a few tenths, but it's enough to allow him to take exactly which line he wants, to leave that door open on the inside, because they can't quite be slipping up his inside yet.
I think Victor Cox is beginning to threaten his teammate here. There's Cox, number 28, was finished third in this championship, of course, back in 2012. And the tall man from the southwest, he was certainly very, very close to Jenkinson as they launched into Lodge Corner last time. Looked as if he was thinking about getting underneath him, but he's just lost a little bit of time on that half lap.
He does. He seems to lose on that section coming up over the hill there. And basically the problem is then, once again, he can't make the move. And these guys really struggling to find a way past. They just look like they're just struggling to make that move. And sometimes in a track like this, you kind of got to force it. You know, you've just really got to lay in. You've got to try and keep on their tails, keep pressuring them. You know, rev the bike as you go into the slower corners, make them hear it. Try and just ruffle the feathers a bit of the man in front to just give you that slight opportunity to make the pass.
Especially, of course, on such evenly matched motorcycles. Despite the different colour schemes, all three of those bikes are neck and neck on Kawasaki's. Obviously, the Honda Fireblade, the red and white machine there is ahead of them, and it's a Kawasaki leading the field altogether. But Victor Cox, Cox has gone right off.
He's got to get off, get off.
He's got to get off as well. Victor Cox. Nasty bang he took there as he hit the tyre wall. And he was trying to hang on to it for a long time, but Victor eventually had to let go, and possibly let go just a bit too late. So suddenly one of the Steve Brogan racing bikes is out, and that leaves Adam Jenkinson still in vain pursuit of David Johnston. Dropping down now into the Hizzy chicane and swing it right to Knickerbrook, which is, you've got to get terrific drive out of there, up that very steep incline of Clay Hill. And the red flag's out. The red flag has gone out after that accident. The result then will stand, unfortunately, well, I assume, without Victor Cox on it, with Danny Buchan having taken an absolutely stupendous race win. Well, he said that's what he was going to do when I talked to him at the XL Bike Show. I didn't entirely believe him, but the Qingdao WK Kawasaki absolutely dominant at the opening 2 rounds, and the extremely tall 12-stone lad from Essex has run away with the second race in a row here at Oulton Park, with Jason O'Halloran second for Honda Racing on the Fireblade, third place for PR Kawasaki's Dave Johnson, fourth place, a narrow one for Adam Jenkinson. This is a number 3 machine of Philip Backlund, the Swede, who's finished in 9th place for SMT Kawasaki. So we have the red flags out. That means, but look at that, Qingdao WK Kawasaki, what a ride. And David Johnson can just say, well done, son. I really couldn't really see which way you went there. That was a deeply impressive ride from Danny Buchan on the Qingdao Kawasaki.
He really got his head down and got out front, did a great job. Jason O'Halloran as well in second spot on the Honda. A lovely ride from him to grab that, and then Johnson in third spot again. So Victor Cox, though, just made that mistake, too wide, got off it. We haven't heard anything on him yet, but we just hope he's okay.
Danny Buchan getting duly congratulated. Oulton Park, the Pirelli National Superstock1000. Danny Buchan wins it convincingly from Jason O'Halloran after a dust-up with David Johnson, Adam Jenkinson. Glenn Richards runs 5th for Padgett's Honda ahead of Lee Jackson, build-based BMW. Dan Johnson's Kawasaki, Philip Backlund Kawasaki, Lee Johnston's East Coast Racing Honda, and in 10th place the reigning champion Hudson Kenner, now on BMW. 11th place for Connor Cummins ahead of Joshie Elliott, with Gavin Hunt, Joe Burns and Carl Harris on his return to action for Motor Bracious Kawasaki, rounding out the point scorers ahead of Usher Egan, Marshall Neal, John Ingram and Johnny Blackshaw. The Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship in association with Black Horse has Danny Buchan now on a clean and tidy 50 points after 2 race wins. Second after 2 second places for Jason O'Halloran, Honda Racing. Third, Adam Jenkinson on 24 for the new Steve Brogan Racing team, with David Johnson in 4th and Philip back in 5th place. 6th for Lee Jackson, level on 20 points with Joshie Elliott. 8th overall for Connor Cummins, ahead of Hudson Kenner and Dan Johnson. 11th in the standings for Glenn Richards, the part-time rider substituting at Paget's Honda for John McGuinness, with Danny Eslick, Lee Johnston, Victor Cox and Josh Day rounding out that top 15. And then 3 points for Gavin Hunt and Joe Burns, 2 points for Luke Quigley, and that solitary point for 15th today for Carl Harris.
David, congratulations, third place there. Denied the opportunity in a way by the red flag to challenge for second, but how pleased are you with this podium?
Yeah, fairly pleased. It's been going well. The PR Racing guys have been awesome. Just grab my helmet. Got a few sponsors to thank. Yeah, I sort of got into a rhythm behind Jason, started catching him a bit, and then my brakes ran out a bit. Down at Cascades was a bit all over the joint. Didn't make the corner the last 3 laps, and then I was gaining everywhere else, and yeah, so bit of a brake issue we've got to sort out, but happy with third, and Jenko was right on my bum as well, so I mean, yeah, I think I could have held him off because that last lap was shocking for me, but well done to Buchan. I don't know how he's doing what he's doing at the moment. He's got a lot of faith in his bike, but he's riding great, and well done to Jason as well. Got to thank my sponsors, Complete Bike Cover, Hydrotech, Ask Oscott, electrical contractors from Australia, and also all these guys here, Ralph Therese, all that sort of scarred for life also. Cheers guys, thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, David. Well done, mate. 2 Australians on the podium here is Jason O'Halloran in second place. Jason, just seemed that Danny just had a little bit extra pace here this weekend over the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we're a little bit behind from the first session, and we made a big step forward for qualified in second, which we're happy with. You know, we're continually working on the Honda, and the new SP5 blade's a great bike, but we just need a little bit more time to try and match these other boys. So, you know, it was 20 points, long season. Kept it on 2 wheels, which was the main thing. And now we've got a bit of a break to do some work and come back stronger at Snetterton.
Thanks, Jason. Well done.
Thanks to all my sponsors as well.
OK, mate, well done. So 2 Aussies on the podium, but it's a Brit on top, Danny Buchan. Danny, fantastic performance there. Devo said he's not sure how you did what you did out there, so maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, I mean, we just had the pace all weekend. You know, we did a test day here 2 weeks ago, the official BSB test, and the Qingtao Racing Kawasaki ZX-10R just worked awesome straight from the off. So we, so I mean, once the test goes well, you know, we knew we had the pace. Qualifying, we went really well, and we knew we could do the times on the old tyres. So my plan was just to get out again, get my head down, do as many quick as laps I could, and I actually ran on there chasing my own tail, chasing my 36s. You know, just had it in my head all weekend, and I ended up running on. I thought, well, yeah, I'll just calm down now, get them 25 points, and yeah, to come away with 2 wins is amazing. You know, I can't thank the team enough and my personal sponsors and stuff. So it's been amazing.
Great ride, Danny. Well done.
Thank you. Like to say, obviously, thanks to all my personal sponsors, Wenbar Plastics, Ultimate Retail Solutions, Express Coffee, Cycle Mode, Andy, all my mates, everyone, you know, my trainer and that. Thank you. Brilliant.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
A fantastic start then as Jason O'Halloran launched into the lead initially in the Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship, but Danny Buchan just held it on round the outside at Old Hall Corner, and from that moment on he was destined to disappear. Yes, he was chasing that 1 minute 36 lap. It didn't quite come, but he got damn near to it. There was a mishap on the first lap in which Josh Day lost the front of his Kawasaki and fetched down the luckless Luke Quigley. Poor Luke hobbled off, the safety car came out, and that meant that everyone had a glimpse of Danny Buchan once again, but it wasn't to be for very long, as Dave Johnson made a dynamic restart and launched beneath his fellow Australian Jason O'Halloran. A mistake by the young Ulsterman Joshie Elliott meant that he had to deviate off track and rejoin, and then that moment when the luckless Jordan Simpkin got punted off at Shell Oils and into retirement, reluctantly I'm sure. Meanwhile, at the front, Jason O'Halloran launched himself underneath David Johnson, and he retook that second place. Danny Buchan running away at the front, but look at this battle going on behind him. O'Halloran was in there, Johnson was in there, the 2 Steve Brogan Racing Kawasaki's of Adam Jenkinson and Victor Cox were in there. until this moment when Victor Cox ran wide with a couple of laps to go and ran on, hit the tyre walls. He was briefly unconscious, but all he had in the end when he came round was a suspected broken finger. Lucky boy. Danny Buchan, even luckier, a late 21st birthday present. So, if you turn 21 on the 28th of April, why not come to Oulton Park and make the most of it by winning a race? Well, Danny Buchan was threatening to do that, and he has. Second place goes to Dave Johnson already. Third place, sorry, to Dave Johnson. Second place on the left of picture to Jason O'Halloran, and Alex Calefi of Pirelli, Italy, presenting the trophies. And this, oh, hang on, is that Jason Griffiths? I've been misinformed. It might be our very own Welshman, Jason Griffiths, presenting the trophies. But Danny Buchan, amazingly confident. You could see how tall he was, and the fact that Matt Roberts isn't that small, but Danny was staring down at him from his lofty 6'3" perch when he was being interviewed. But the big lad from Burnham-on-Crouch in Essex looking really, really strong. 2 races, 2 wins.